with the tariff tension going on around the world, the issue of AfCFTA and the over 1 billion markets available in Africa has come to the fore. In this week, Nigeria officially signed and submitted its ECOWAS tariff offer to the African Continental Free Trade Area, that's the AfCFTA, to establish zero duties on 90% of goods traded within the continent. Do we say this is anti-tariff? Well, let's find out what this really means and what we can expect as a country following this. And we're doing this with Dr. Bamidele Ayemibo. He's the Chief Executive Officer and Lead Consultant at 3T Impex Trade Academy. Good morning, Dr. Ayemibo, and welcome to the program.
Good morning. How are you today?
Good. So what does this mean? Nigeria is going to do tariff-free for 90% of its goods. Well, I know Nigeria is a big brother, but I mean, even the U.S. is supposed to be the big man of the world. They are harping on tariffs now.
Oh, okay. What we've just done is to do our own bit as far as the AfCFTA is concerned. If you are familiar with AfCFTA, you know that 90% non-sensitive products have to be fully liberalized, and we have about 7% sensitive products to be liberalized over time, and then 3% exclusively that would not be liberalized. So what we've done right now is to do the 90% sensitive product. Nigeria finally signed. You know, if you remember last year, we had a conversation on your show discussing the guided trade initiative, and we have not been very successful in that because of what we just did now, because a number of countries we are trying to ship to are saying your product cannot enter our country because you have not signed this tariff and gazette it so that our good can come into your country also duty-free. Talking about what is happening in the U.S., I don't think Africa should be worried about what's going on in the U.S. In my opinion, it's to advantage of Africa. Why? The people that are shipping to Africa and to U.S. are having challenges, and they are at a higher tariff from EU to Asia, but Africa is having lower tariff. At least a number of countries in Africa from Nigeria is 14%, but Ghana is 10%, Morocco, Egypt, Ethiopia, a number of countries in Africa are 10%. And by the way, what is the volume of African export to the US? Just African export to the US, just about 1% or 1.2% of the total US import. US import is about 3 trillion. African export to the US is less than 40 billion. So, in my opinion, we shouldn't even be worrying ourselves about that at all. Rather, we should be strategizing now to take advantage of it. But that we have now signed the 90% non-sensitive in Africa, I think it's good and it's important because we also begin to look inward and see how we can grow trade within Africa. So we avoid this tariff that we're experiencing from outside of Africa.
Yeah, but even before now, we know that I think we've done the first shipment, I believe it was to Kenya. Ghana seems to have been more active. Are we doing enough with the platform? Because we have a lot of hurdles. We have the payment system hurdles. We have the logistics hurdles, which has been on for years. So doesn't it go beyond this signing an agreement to actually what do we have to work to make this AfCFTA work?
Payment issue have been sorted with the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System. So you now have an option of using PAPS instead of looking for dollar, euro, or pounds. What you mentioned as logistics, I think is very important. However, if Nigeria, for example, and other countries have not done what they need to do, there is no encouragement for investors to invest because how will you trade when you have not signed? So with this signing now, for me, it will become easier for Minister of Trade to be able to talk to investors, for African Development Bank to be able to support, because now we are demonstrating that, okay, this can happen, this will happen. The initial trade that happened from Kenya to Ghana happened because of the fact that Ghana has done this earlier than Nigeria. Nigeria has not been very fast as far as AfCFTA is concerned. In fact, this is one of the reasons why we lost the capital, because Nigeria and Ghana were jostling for the headquarters, but Nigeria did not sign on time. Ghana did it. Ghana has been moving ahead in a number of things we are supposed to do on AfCFTA, but it's good we're also moving now so that the guidance initiative that we're supposed to have leverage on to be able to ensure we do some trading and trial to see where the issue and challenges are for government to be able to fix now can be done because of this. But in terms of logistics, you are very correct. But I believe the logistic issue can really be sorted if now countries have demonstrated this kind of agreement that we are ready to trade.
So when we talk about, and I'm glad that, fine, you at least there's a measure of optimism, coming from you. And you said, okay, now the minister can actually ask investors, to come on board. What are the opportunities? What are the routes? I mean, you are a trade expert. Assuming an individual, an exporter is watching this program now and would like to participate in AfCFTA, where can the person start from? I know there's a secretariat and all of that, but where can the person start from? What should the person be looking out for? What sector should the individual be targeting in order to maximize the opportunities in the African market?
Very important question that a lot of people are asking. I'm happy we're having that conversation this morning. Number one is the fact that a number of African countries are middle income, low income, meaning they don't have a lot of disposable income. The implication of not having a lot of disposable income is the fact that you are not going to be able to sell commodities in Africa. Apart from petroleum products, most other products that we sell on the African continent are going to be intermediate products and finished goods. Intermediate products are products that value have been added but not yet at the finished point, from cocoa to cocoa butter, from cashew to cashew kernel, from lead to lead ingot, from shea to shea butter. Those are products that have potential. But also fast-moving consumer goods, from personal care products to drugs, to food items. The items that people need on day-to-day, as a matter of fact, the items that people need for survival are what anybody thinking of AfCFTA or to trade under AfCFTA should be considering. Why? Not because there won't be sales of machinery and luxury goods, but the fact is that the demand for this other product is a lot higher. And if you look at the data already revealed that to us. The fact that these are the products that we already have a lot of gap within Africa, and with the fact that duty will be eliminated within Africa, that will make an African country to stand the chance of selling. So, for example, Nigeria can sell that competitively, maybe in Ghana or Kenya or Ethiopia, because now the duty that Ethiopia is putting on that product, which is a challenge for a Chinese and a challenge for Nigeria shipping similar goods, has now been removed for Nigeria and creating that market for Nigeria. So, for me, fast-moving consumer goods, personal care products, drugs, and products people need for survival will be of immense importance under AfCFTA, because commodities is not going to be purchased by many people, because we currently are producing a lot of commodities in many African countries and shipping to Asia, Europe, and America.
So how can the person start this journey?
The first thing to do is to ensure your product is registered with the coordinating office under AfCFTA. Register your interest, apply to them that they need to come and inspect your factory, check your product to be sure that your product is eligible because of the principle of rule of origin. The rule of origin basically says that your product must be deemed originated from Africa to sell duty-free under AfCFTA. That means either there is a substantial value addition, or there is the raw material, like 50, 60, or 70%, depending on the nature of the product, is sourced from any of the African countries, or there is a level of processing that change the tariff heading of the product in such a way that we show that you have added a lot of value. So, for example, instead of I'm moving wood into Africa and I convert to furniture, that would be a substantial processing. Or I bring in material to produce a car and I assemble it in Africa to convert to a car to sell in Africa. That would be a lot of value addition, substantial value addition. Or I'm sourcing my raw material from Africa. In fact, some importers who are importing some raw material from outside of Africa, particularly agricultural commodities, might take advantage of this now, because if you find African country where you can get similar products, and you can get it, now duty has been removed for you to bring it into Nigeria, and you're able to produce efficiently in that country, that might mean you will have to bring your good into Nigeria without have to worry about forex, because you can leverage your Pan-African payment and settlement system and pay wherever it is you are importing from in Naira within the African country.
Very interesting right there. But registering, because yesterday I spoke to an exporter on this program, and she told us about her experience. She's been trying to register. I think she has NOTs. She wants to register. No, I think it was CREAM because it's NAFDAC. So when we talk about these processes, even though they're well spelled out, you know, on paper, when you talk to people on individual basis, the issue of registration and getting approved by government agencies, I'm sure you would have heard once or twice that it's also a discouraging factor.
You know, for NAFDAC, I've had the good and the bad. So what I think is my conclusion of both of them is the knowledge of the person applying on what he needs to get ready before even approaching NAFDAC in the first place. Because I have people that have had fantastic experience with NAFDAC. I've had people that also have very bad experience. I was at the program on Monday, the one you mentioned, we're talking on phone, and someone in that program was talking about his experience with NAFDAC. And the fact that the program, he was commending NAFDAC on how NAFDAC have helped him. And I've also been at an event where even the DG of NAFDAC was seated and someone was complaining about NAFDAC. And what I can deduce from both of them is the knowledge, the understanding of what they need to get ready ahead of approaching NAFDAC. Now, registration generally with government agency have its challenges, but for registration for AfCFTA, I'm not sure it's a big challenge. The coordinating office is very much eager to assist because they need a lot of people to come on board. So as much people that want to come on board, they are willing to reach out to them. They have a website you can check online and reach out to them to be able to ensure they get the interministerial committee to do the necessary visit. I know that if you are going to do that visit, you might be the one to bear the logistics of bringing them to your factory. I'm not sure if they have a budget for that, but besides that, I think the process is pretty much smooth, and the document and of course the certificate I understand will be issued by the customs, and that will be required for you to be eligible to ship to any African country and be duty-free in that country.
All right. Well, we hope to populate that platform, the AfCFTA platform. I mean, as you noted, trade between Nigeria or Africa generally to the United States isn't that much. So we can actually trade within ourselves and make the most of this time. You know, our value added to commodities is actually one of the things. But thank you so much for your time this morning, Dr. Bamidele Ayemibo, the Chief Executive Officer and Lead Consultant at 3T Impex Trade Academy.
Thank you very much for having me, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.